They say love finds you when you are not looking. But sometimes love doesn't come to heal you, it comes to expose everything you have been running from. My name is Mabel, and this is the story of how one man changed my life and nearly destroyed it. It all began in Cairo on a quiet street filled with the scents of roasted corn and the noise of evening traffic. I had just closed from work at a small travel agency, tired, frustrated, and ready to give up on love. My last relationship ended in betrayal, the kind that makes you question your worth. So when I met Adriel, I didn't want to feel anything. He wasn't the kind of man that forced attention. He was calm, soft spoken, and almost too gentle for this noisy world. He helped me once when my car broke down near the Cairo market. No words, just action. He faked it quietly and walked away. But something about his silence followed me home. For weeks, he became a ghost in my thoughts until fate decided to bring him back again. It was at a friend's birthday party in Jabi. Under dim lights and laughter, he walked in wearing a simple black shirt and confidence that didn't need to announce itself. Our eyes met just once, but I felt like I had known him forever. From that night, Adriel became a part of my routine. Morning tests, evening calls, long walks through Asokoro Park, talking about life, dreams, and the pain of the past. He never talked much about himself. He listened more. And in his silence, I found peace, or what I thought was peace. Months passed. He introduced me to his world, a quiet apartment in Gariki, a few trusted friends, and a smile that could calm a storm. But there were nights, strange nights, nights he would leave suddenly without explanation. Nights I would wake up and find him standing by the window staring at nothing. When I asked, he smiled faintly and said, "Some truths are better left in the dark, Mabel." At first, I thought he was being poetic. I didn't know he was telling me the truth. One evening, I stopped by his place unannounced. He wasn't there, but his laptop was open, and curiosity is a dangerous thing when love is involved. I saw files, names, dates, pictures, and one folder titled Caro Operations. I didn't understand it, but the sight made my heart race. When he came back, I pretended not to notice, but he looked at me differently that night, like a man who knew his secret had been touched. Later, he held me tightly and whispered, "If anything ever happens to me, promise me you will trust me before you judge me." I didn't understand why he said that, not until the night everything fell apart. It was raining heavily. We were returning from a dinner in Nyanya when a car began following us. At first, I thought it was a coincidence until Adriel told me to hold on tight. He speed through the narrow roads, his eyes sharp, breathing steady like a man used to danger. When we finally stopped, I was trembling. He stepped out of the car, walked around to my side, and without saying a word, he tore the pocket of my jeans slightly. I gasped in confusion. Then he slid something inside. A small metallic chip. He didn't explain, he only said, "If I tell you everything now, you will be in danger. Just keep it safe." The look in his eyes, part love, part fear, said more than words ever could. That night, he dropped me off and told me not to call him. He said, "Wait for me to call you," but he never did. By morning, I got the news Adre was gone. They said it was an accident along the expressway. But I knew deep down it wasn't an accident. I sat in my room, shaking, staring at the small tear in my jeans. The chip he slid in was still there, and something told me it held the answers to everything. That was the night my world went dark and my journey to the truth began. When you lose someone you love, the pain doesn't come all at once. It comes in waves, slow, heavy, and unpredictable. That morning, when I got the call that Adre had died, I didn't cry. I couldn't.
The silence in my room was too loud. Every corner of my house reminded me of him. His voice, his laughter, the way he always said, "Trust me, even when you are scared." I sat by the window in Cairo, staring at a chip he had slid into my torn pants pocket. Small, silver, harmless looking. But something about it felt alive. It was as if it was holding its breath, waiting for me to find out its purpose. 2 days later, I took it to a tech guy in Wuse too, someone my friend Boma recommended. He plugged it into his system and for a moment everything went dark. Then files began to appear. Thousands of them. Images, names, transactions logs, government seals and documents tagged confidential. It looked like a data leak, something huge. The man frowned and said, "Madam, where did you get this? Do you know this thing fit get person into trouble?" I didn't answer because I was already in trouble. I just didn't know how deep yet. He copied some of the data into a hard drive for me and told me to leave immediately. When I asked why, he said, "Some things are better not seen twice." That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. A male voice said, "Miss Mabel, you have something that doesn't belong to you. We can make this easy or we can make it painful." My heart stopped. I hung up, packed my things and ran to Boma's apartment in Asokoro. But fear travels faster than footsteps. Within hours, someone broke into Boma's house while we slept. We woke up to shadows, three men, faces covered, searching through our things. Boma screamed and they fled. But one of them turned back at the door and said, "You should have left it where he hid it." That was when I knew Adriel didn't die by accident. He was killed for what he knew. For days I stayed hidden. I didn't go to work, I didn't see anyone. All I had was that chip and a growing storm of questions. Who really was Adriel? What was he into? And why did he trust me to carry something that could get me killed? Then one afternoon I got a message from an unknown email. "Mabel, if you are reading this, it means they got to me. Don't panic. Inside the chip there is a folder called Rosewood. That's the truth. Find a man named Captain Zira. He will help you, but don't trust anyone else, especially those who call themselves police." It was Adriel's voice. My heart shattered. I read that message over and over until my tears blurred the screen. Who were they? What was Rosewood? And why did he warn me about the police? I decided to find out. I left Asokoro quietly and went to Gariki where Captain Zira supposedly lived. Finding him wasn't easy. He was a retired military intelligence officer who had vanished after a scandal years ago. But I found him eventually in a small mechanic workshop behind a broken gate. When I told him address sent me, his eyes changed. He led me into a small back room, locked the door and said, "If you are carrying that chip, then you're already on their list." I asked, "Who are they?" He said, "They are not ordinary men. They control contracts, elections, even the news. They don't just silence people, they erase them." Adriel was one of us. He tried to expose them, but someone close to him betrayed the mission. I whispered, "Betrayed?" Zira nodded slowly. "Someone inside the team leaked his location that night. That was how they found him."
I felt cold all over. Everything Adriel had been hiding, the late night calls, the distant look in his eyes, it all made sense now.
Zira helped me decode the Rosewood folder on the chip. It contained secret documents showing how top officials were laundering aid money meant for hospitals in Nyanya and in Gwagwalada. Billions stolen, lives ruined, and Adre had collected proof. I asked Zira why didn't he give it to the authorities? He smiled bitterly. Because the authorities are part of it. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just holding a piece of metal, I was holding a weapon, a truth that could burn the powerful to ashes. That night, as I returned to my apartment, I noticed a black SUV parked down the street. Two men inside. They didn't move, but I knew they were watching. I turned off my light and crawled into my bed, pretending to sleep, but I couldn't close my eyes. All I could think of was Adriel, his last words, his warning, his love. He wasn't just a man I loved, he was a soldier who gave his life for something bigger than both of us. And now his mission was mine. By dawn, I made my decision. I packed my bag, wore a hoodie, and left Carol without telling anyone. If they wanted the truth buried, I would dig it out. But I didn't know the deeper I went, the closer I was walking into a trap built long before I even met him. The road from Karo to Yenya has never felt so long. Each passing car looked like danger. Each shadow felt like a spy. I wasn't running anymore, I was surviving. I had no family left in Abuja, no one to trust, no one to talk to, except the ghost of Adriel. The man who tore my pants, slid a secret into it, and changed the course of my life. I moved from one cheap lodge to another using different names, but no matter where I went, they always found me. Anonymous calls, empty cars parked opposite my windows, men who watched but never spoke. One evening I met Zira again, this time in a small bar at Area 10 Gariki. He looked tired, older than before, but his eyes were still sharp. He handed me a phone and said, "Keep this with you. If anything happens to me, play the audio file inside. It's proof of everything." I asked him if he trusted anyone else. He paused. There was one more person who worked with Adre, a woman named Tilda, a journalist with deep connections. If we can find her, we can finish what we started. Tilda, the name sounds familiar. I realized I had seen her face once months ago at one of Adre's small gatherings. Pretty, confident, the kind of woman who knew too much. Zara said she disappeared after Adre's death. But people like Tilda don't just disappear, they hide. 2 weeks later, I got an email. No name, no greeting, just one line. If you want the truth about Adre, meet me at the abandoned radio tower near Apple by 8 p.m. The message was signed Tilda. Fear and curiosity wrestled inside me. Zira warned me not to go alone, but I went anyway. The tower stood silent against the night, surrounded by dry grass and broken walls. My heartbeat was louder than my footsteps. Then I saw her, Tilda, standing near the base of tower, wearing a black hoodie. She smiled when she saw me. "You look just like he described," she said softly. "Who?" I asked, even though I already knew. "Adre," she replied. "He said you were the only one who could be trusted when everything fell apart." Her words felt heavy. I asked her what she knew about his death. She sighed. "They killed him because he found something they couldn't afford to let out." He recorded their meetings, all of them, but the files are split into two parts. You have one, I have the other. Hope flickered in my heart. "If we combine them, can we expose them?" She nodded. "Yes, but there's a problem. Someone inside Zera's cycle is working for the enemy." The word froze me. "What do you mean?" Tida looked at me sadly. "Someone close to him leaked your location. That's how they have been tracking you all along." I couldn't believe it. Zira, the man who risked his life to protect me? But deep down, I knew trust was a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. We planned to meet again in 2 days to match the files. But before I left, Tilda said something that broke me. She said, Adriel loved you more than his mission. That's why he died. He couldn't choose between you and the truth. I walked away in silence, my heart tearing into two. Love had become a curse. When I got back to my lodge in Jabi, the door was open. My bag was gone. The hard drive, the chip, and everything. My heart sank. There was only one person who knew I was there, Zira. I called him, but he didn't answer. Then, after midnight, my phone buzzed. A message. Meet me at the old warehouse in Nyanya. Bring no one. We finish this tonight. I knew that tone. It wasn't Zira, it was a trap. But something in me, the part that refused to be afraid, decided to go. The warehouse smelled of oil and dust. A single bulb flickered from above. Zira stood in the center, holding a gun. Why, Zira? I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't speak immediately. He looked broken, like a man who lost his soul. They took my daughter, he said quietly. I had no choice. They said if I didn't hand you over, they would kill her.
Tears stung my eyes. So you gave them Adriel's legacy? He nodded, shame written all over his face. I'm sorry, Mabel, but maybe this way one of us survives. Before I could reply, headlights flooded the warehouse. Black SUVs, men in suits, the same faces as seen in my nightmares. A tall man stepped out, cold eyes, polished voice. He said, Miss Mabel, thank you for bringing yourself. You have been a thorn in our flesh for too long. He turned to Zira. You did well, but we don't keep witnesses. Before I could scream, they shot Zira, just like that. I fell to the ground, my whole body shaking. The man walked closer, knelt beside me, and said, Adriel should have known better. You can't fight the system, Miss Mabel. It always wins. I spat the words, trembling. Not if the world sees what you have done. He smiled. Oh, the world will never see it, because the files are gone. But that was where he was wrong. Unknown to him, Tilda had backup the files on a cloud drive that automatically sent them to every major news outlet once her phone went offline. As they dragged me to my feet, I heard the sounds of phones ringing everywhere. The men's faces changed, confusion, then panic. I looked at the man and said softly, You might control everything, but not the truth. He tried to shoot me, but the news had already spread. Screens across Abuja were flashing headlines. Exposed government-linked syndicates behind multi-billion naira fraud. The system had been cracked open. Hours later, I woke up in a hospital bed. Tida was gone, Zira was gone, but Adri's name and his sacrifices were everywhere. They called him a hero, the man who risked everything to reveal the truth. And me, I was just the woman who carried his secret, the one hidden in a torn piece of cloth, slid into my pants pocket, wrapped in love and betrayal. They say, love leaves scars. Mine left a revolution. When I walk through Caro now, I still hear his voice, sometimes calm, steady, whispering, Trust me, even when you are scared. And I whisper back, I did, Adre, I did. When the night is at its darkest, even the faintest light can guide you. For me, that light was Adre, his love, his sacrifice, and the truth he entrusted to me. After the warehouse incident, I realized that survival wasn't enough. I couldn't let his death be in vain. I couldn't let fear rule me. I left the hospital quietly and returned to Caro, blending into the crowd as if nothing had happened. But inside, everything had changed. The world I knew, safe streets, familiar faces, ordinary days no longer existed. I contacted Tilda through a hidden email. She sent me the final pieces of the puzzle, documents proving every fraudulent transaction, every shadow deal, every hidden account linked to the syndicate that killed Adriel. Together we planned carefully. We went public not just in Abuja but across Nigeria. The news spread like a wildfire. Live broadcasts, viral posts, journalists showing every piece of evidence. People were outraged. The system began to crumble. High-ranking officials were arrested. Contracts were frozen. Lives were restored. But justice wasn't just about revenge, it was about remembrance. I decided to honor Adriel by creating a foundation for investigative journalists and whistleblowers. The foundation would protect truth tellers, support victims, and make sure no one else had to die to expose corruption. As I spoke at the launch in Asokoro, I felt his presence beside me. His voice, calm and steady. You did it, Mabel. You finished it. I smiled, tears streaming down my face. Yes, Adriel, we did it together. Even though he was gone, love had won. Betrayal, danger, and death had tried to silence us. But the truth carried in a small chip hidden in a torn pocket had survived. And with it, so had I. Years later, when I walk through the streets of Gariki or Jabi, I still see shadows of that dark night. I remember the fear, the chase, the betrayal. But more than that, I remember love, the kind that changes you forever, the kind that refuses to die. Adriel gave me more than life lessons. He gave me purpose, and I carry it every day, in every choice, in every heartbeat. Love had survived, truth has survived, and so had I. Welcome, my friends, to the story of courage, love, and redemption. A story that began with a torn pocket and a small hidden secret, and ended with a world changed forever. Subscribe, like, and share.